بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم نبينا محمد وعلى محمد ومن استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. Alhamdulillah, the beautiful month of Ramadan is approaching us. It's only 1 or 2 more days, alhamdulillah, and we're very excited for this month of Ramadan, the month of fasting, the month of the Qur'an. And we still remember some of the advice that we gave from the last month of Ramadan, and that is because we implemented it, or many of us implemented it in our lives in the month of Ramadan and after the month of Ramadan. The first advice was to read the Quran with every salat. That's before or after salat, after each salat. And during the month of Ramadan, we have been reciting the Quran, one juz from the Quran every day before we even listen to the Quran during the month, during the Salat al-Taraweeh. The second advice was to read the Quran, the translation of the Quran in the language that we speak, so that way we can understand exactly what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us. What is the inspiration? What are the examples? What are the stories? What are the things that are going to come to pass, inshaAllah? And the third advice was to read and listen to tafsir of the Quran. Listening to the Quran, listen to the tafsir of the Quran, the explanation of the Quran, so that way we can understand the truth of exactly what the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam wanted us to know from the Quran, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted us to know from His exact words. Fourthly, implementing and reflecting on the Quran, the ayats of the Quran, even if it's one ayat per day or a couple of ayats per day of the Quran. And the last advice that we gave, keeping it very simple, was to recite what we memorize from the Quran in our daily prayer. So if we memorize 4 ayats or 5 ayats of the Quran, then to recite it inside of our prayer. Unfortunately, many of us are strayed away. There are some who are actually implemented this, but some of us are actually strayed away from these great actions, and they have taken the Quran and put it on their shelves as an adornment, as a beautiful decoration for their homes. We don't find comfort in this. Unfortunately, many of us had found comfort in reading novels and watching movies and TVs and wasting time instead of reciting the Quran, even an ayah per day, or reciting a surah per day, or memorizing just a little bit nubda min al-Quran. So we want to look back into the Quran and see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how He outlined how us as believers are inside of the Quran, so that way we can get back to what we are supposed to be doing as Muslims. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said in this beautiful surah, Surah Al-Anfal, إنما المؤمنون الذين إذا ذكر الله وجلت قلوبهم وإذا تليت عليهم آياته زادتهم إيمانا وعلى ربهم يتوكلون الذين يقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون أولئك هم المؤمنون حقا لهم درجات عند ربهم ومغفرة ورزق كريم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He outlined the mu'minun, the believers. He said that the believers are only those who, when Allah is mentioned, their hearts, their breasts, they feel fear. And when the ayats, when the verses are recited to them, it increases them in faith. It increases them in iman. And upon their Lord, they rely. They put their trust. But He doesn't stop there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues and He says, and the ones who establish prayer, the ones who establish salat, and from what He has provided for them, they spend from that. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ حَقًّا. Those are the true believers. For them are degrees of high position, high status with their Lord, and forgiveness, and a noble sustenance, or a noble provision. So my brothers and my sisters, don't take it lightly. Don't take it lightly. Just reciting the Quran or memorizing the Quran or listening to the tafsir or reading the tafsir of the Quran or implementing the Quran in our lives, reflecting on the Quran. These are huge things. These are huge things. So what I have done for today, alhamdulillah, just before we enter the month of Ramadan, let's get more acquainted with the Quran. For those who have strayed away from the Quran, let's get more acquainted with the Quran. And how can we do this? Find what's the best time. One, find out what's the best time for you. What is the best time for you to get in at least 15 minutes of Quran? Is it before suhoor? Is it after suhoor? Is it just after Salat al-Fajr? Is it in your break time when you go to work? What is the best time for you to get in at least 15 minutes? 15 minutes of your whole 24-hour a day. 15 minutes for you to get acquainted with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For you to get acquainted with Allah's words. Just 15 minutes. 2, find your best reciter. Listen to him or her. You might have more than one reciter that you like to recite. You like to hear recitation from. Some reciters recite some surahs better than other reciters, and you love to hear those reciters. So you might have 1 or 2 different reciters that you love to hear from. 3, pray in the masjid if possible. Now some people, they don't pray at all inside of the masjid. At least make an effort to pray Fajr in the masjid. Go early so that you can at least read the Quran by yourself, or you can read it with someone who might be there, who might be a friend who you're going to the masjid with. Listen to the Quran on your way forth and backwards. Number 4, design your travel. Make sure that you have headphones. Let's say you're on the train or you're on the bus. Design your travel so that way you can listen to the Quran while you are traveling. And if you're a driver, make it that every time you enter your car that you put on Quran or you're listening to tafsir of the Quran. Number 5, and I love the method of setting yourself up. So tell a friend or a family what you're doing so you can get acquainted. You want to love or you want to gain love for the Quran. Tell a friend or a family member what you're doing. Tell them that you must talk about the Quran daily, at least once a day. Mention something about the Quran. This will allow you to research, give you opportunity for you to research something inside of the Quran, or listen to something of the Quran and read something of the Quran, or recite something of the Quran, or memorize at least for 15 minutes each day. So that way you would have something to mention, something to say about the Quran, right? And you would see that even the friends that you're speaking to, the family members you're speaking to, they themselves may develop the habit of looking things up, researching the Quran, going through the tafsir of the Quran. I'll let you in on one of the methods that will be fitting for some of us, and some of our children. And I've noticed that I have been on my phone for a lot these days. So every time that I take out my phone, I even read an ayah of the Quran or listen to an ayat of the Quran from one of the reciters. But once I have the phone in my hand, that means I have to listen to Quran. Or I might answer a call or answer a text message or a question or what have you. May Allah increase our status, raise our status with Him. May Allah accept our Ramadan. May Allah balighna Ramadan. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our salat, our qiyam, our zakat, our sadaqah, our good deeds, our actions, our good statements. May Allah accept it all from us during the month of Ramadan, before the month of Ramadan, during the month of Ramadan, and after the month of Ramadan. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر لي ولكم أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. And don't forget, my brothers and my sisters, to make dua for every single person on this earth. Make dua for every single person in this earth, because not only are these things for the believers, but they're also for the non-believers, so they can also benefit from accepting Islam and understanding Islam and being enlightened with the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah continue to bless us. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر لي ولكم أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.